Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all, depending on where everybody is. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jonathan Yakasha from TechConnect. I will be your host today for this informational session on the Safety Innovation Challenge Heat Stress with the National Safety Council. We've got two representatives here from the National Safety Council. Riley, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hi, my name is Riley Schomborn, and I am a program manager for the MSD Solutions Lab, and I also lead innovation work with the Work to Zero team.
Great, thanks, Riley. And Kate, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm Kate Crawford. I'm the Senior Research Manager with our safety programs at the National Safety Council, and I do a lot of primary research with our Work to Zero program, which is where we're focusing on this challenge. So glad to be here.
Great, thank you both for being here. So to our attendees, at any point during today's session, if you have questions about anything, process related, scope questions, all that sort of good stuff, avail yourself of this opportunity to ask questions to the experts that we've got here from the NSC. Use the Q&A chat box, put your questions in there, and we'll spend roughly about half of our time today, the second half of our time today, going through your questions, okay? So with that in mind, on your screen, you can see our agenda for today. I'll give you an overview of the challenge itself. We'll talk about the timeline, the important dates that you're going to want to pay attention to, answer a couple of FAQs, and then I'll give some guidance on how to present your technology in the best possible light when you are responding. And then I'm going to turn it over to Riley from NSC, and she's going to give you more information about the challenge itself. Like I said, you've got the experts, so please take advantage of this opportunity. And then we'll go out and wrap everything up right at the top of the hour. So with no further ado, let's get underway. So what are we looking for here? We are looking for new technologies that can detect, prevent, or respond to employees that are experiencing heat stress in the workplace. Within that broad overview, there's a number of different possible pathways to respond. You could have wearable technologies that deliver heat stress data to an individual worker, or maybe to a site safety supervisor. Active or passive thermal management technology, something to keep people cool or to cool them down. Training platforms, first response innovations. The one thing I want you to take away from this list, however, it is intentionally not exhaustive. If you've got a technology that addresses heat stress in some way, shape, or form, we would like to hear from you. That bottom bit there, that URL that you see, that URL is going to be your best friend. heatstress.techconnect.org. That is where you're going to access the FAQ for this challenge. That's where you're going to learn more about the scope of this challenge. And most importantly, that's where you're going to submit your response to this challenge. And I'll be honest with you, I want the problem of having too many responses to read. If you've got a technology that makes sense for this challenge, we would like to hear from you. I enjoy reading them, and I would like to read as many as possible. So keep them coming. So timeline, what are the dates you need to be aware of? Right there, November 1st, 2024, by 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That is the submission deadline. That is the date and time that you need to get your submission submitted via that challenge page that I referenced just a little bit ago. Don't worry if you missed it. I've got it in here again. Don't be late. I strongly encourage you, if you've got a technology that you would like to submit early. Don't wait for the last minute, because stuff happens and you don't want to miss out just because you waited until the last second. So I encourage you to submit early if you can. The next important kind of milestone that you're going to run into, the finalist notification. We're anticipating letting everybody know if they've been selected as a finalist in mid-November. And then the Future of EHS conference will take place in February 2025 in St. Louis. That's where the finalists are going to be presenting their technology. So that's kind of the rough timeline for you for this challenge. But most importantly, that submission deadline. Don't be late. Some FAQ questions for you. First off, are international responses welcome? Absolutely. Great safety technology is going to come from lots of different places and lots of different perspectives. So yes, international responses are welcome. Is there a minimum TRL to respond? minimum technical maturity? No. Obviously, technologies that are closer towards implementation are of greater interest simply because they can be put into the field faster, but there really isn't a minimum technology readiness. So if you've got something that's you're still working on in the lab, but it's got really promising results that you've seen already, go ahead and submit a response. We would love to hear from you. And lastly, can you submit more than one technology? Absolutely, yes. For people working in a safety space, you probably have lots of different technologies that could be used to address heat stress. Fantastic. We would like to hear about all of them. What I would recommend to you is that if you have more than one technology and they work independent of one another, submit each technology as its own response. The advantage being you will be able to talk more about that particular technology in its entirety in that response form, as opposed to trying to describe 2 or 3 technologies in the limited space that you have in the response form. So keep that in mind. And if you are going to submit more than one response, the best thing I can tell you to do is to make each response distinct. Make it clear that you didn't accidentally submit the same thing twice. Make it very, very obvious that each submission covers a different technology, okay? Speaking of participation, what are you going to need to do in order to participate? As I said, that URL there, heatstress.techconnect.org, is going to be your best friend. Go to the challenge page, take a look at the response form. Right now, you could go there and see what questions you're going to be asked to provide information for. You can then begin formulating what you want to say about your technology. That next bullet point there, non-confidential information only. That is key. Protect your IP. Don't share any confidential information in your response. And that goes for the online response form itself, as well as any additional optional attachments that you happen to provide in your response, okay? And the last one there is provide a compelling description of your technology. You are telling a story about your technology and about your organization to the National Safety Council. You want to tell them such a great story about what your technology can do, the impact it will have on worker safety, so that when they get done reading your response, the immediate reaction from NSC is, we want to learn more about this technology. That is your goal. And once again, the submission deadline, November 1st, 2024 by 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm harping on that because I don't want you to miss out, and I've done this long enough that I have run into lots of instances where people have said, oh, I thought the deadline was this or that. Make sure you know what the deadline is. Make sure you get your submission in on time. One of the questions that I get asked most frequently is, what do I need to do to make my response effective? Can you show me something that worked? And I really can't show you something that worked because it's unique to the individual project. However, this is some guidance that I can share with you. Keep it engaging and informative. Keep it non-confidential. Be responsive. Don't be repetitive. Engaging and informative. Like I said, you're telling a story. Everything in your submission has to support the idea that your technology is an impactful, useful technology for this particular use case. If it doesn't really support that particular position, find something else to put in. You have limited space in the response form, so everything has to be useful information that you include. Again, keep it non-confidential in nature. Be responsive. There, what I mean is answer the question that's been asked of you. The questions in the response form are designed to elicit the kinds of information that NSC is looking for when they're making their decisions. So it's to your benefit to look at the questions that are being asked and actually answer that particular question. Don't be repetitive. I have seen where respondents to projects will simply copy paste information from one end to another. Because you have limited space, I would strongly recommend that you don't do that, for the simple fact that you have limited space and you're using that space to repeat information. That doesn't get any new additional engaging information in front of the review panel. So if you have to repeat something, keep it to a minimum. And in general, don't repeat anything. And the last thing I'll say is, again, if you have more than one technology, we would absolutely love to hear from you about each one. Just make sure that they are distinct, okay? I've seen a number of questions come in. Keep them coming. We are going to get to them in just a little bit. Right at this time, I'm going to transition over to Riley. She's going to tell you more about the challenge itself. Riley?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan. So again, hi everyone. My name is Riley Schomborn and I lead innovation work with the Work to Zero team. So today I'm going to be going over the Safety Innovation Challenge, specifically the scope of technologies, and then a little bit about the schedule for the event. But first, I wanted to give a little background of Work to Zero, who is the program that is supporting and hosting this challenge. So we can go to the next slide, please. So Work to Zero is a grant-funded National Safety Council initiative funded by the McElhatton Foundation. So our goal is to eliminate workplace fatalities by 2050 through the adoption of safety technology. So no workplace fatality is acceptable. Everyone deserves to go to work and come home safely. And there are technologies on the market today that can help ensure workers stay safe. So over the past 25 years, the OSHA recordable injury rate dropped about 67%. Yet fatality rates have only decreased about 26%, with approximately 5,000 fatalities occurring every year. So as you can see from these photos, we've come a long way in the safety approach. There is technology available today that can help mitigate and even eliminate fatality risks. And this is the future of work. So how do we get there? Work to Zero encourages innovation and focuses on making it acceptable for all employers, small, medium, or large, so we can reach the goal of zero workplace fatalities. So Work to Zero, to accomplish our mission through a three-pronged approach. It's through research, education, and partnership. So through research, we can deepen our knowledge in how technology can improve worker safety. Through education, by providing educational opportunities and free resources and tools, and we can help employers integrate new technologies to support workplace safety. And through partnerships with key stakeholders, so we can better expand our reach and make an impact. So through projects like the Safety Innovation Challenge, Work to Zero aims to advance our mission by encouraging the development and adoption of new technology solutions. And one way that we can encourage the development and adoption of new technology solutions is through the use of the Tech Hub Marketplace. Next slide, please. So the Tech Hub Marketplace is a searchable directory of NSC-approved technology providers. So the marketplace directly connects companies to technology providers that can make their workplaces safer. So if you are a technology buyer, you can visit our website at nsc.org/TechHub to search technology providers today. And if you are a solution provider, you can sign up to be a part of the marketplace by applying through that same link, nsc.org/TechHub, which I will drop the link in the chat a little bit later. So now we're going to go a little bit more into the Safety Innovation Challenge. So we can go to the next slide here. So why do we have a Safety Innovation Challenge? So the Safety Innovation Challenge aims to raise awareness about a particular risk. So this year we are seeking solutions that can reduce heat stress in workers or reduce human exposure to high heat environments or situations. So we can go to the next slide here. We're going to talk a little bit about the scope of technology. So all this information is already on the website, so you can check that out as well. But again, we're going to just go over which technologies we're kind of looking for. So that might be technologies to designed to eliminate or reduce human exposure to high heat environments or situations. Wearables providing thermal stress data to individual workers and or site safety supervisors. Active thermal management technologies for individuals or given location, passive thermal management technologies, software platforms that provide alerts, AR, VR, and first response technologies to safely lower temperature for individuals exhibiting signs of heat stress. But overall, we are looking for a wide variety of technology, so we do encourage all to apply. So now we are going to be going into a little bit about the schedule of the Future of VHS event and the challenge. So we can go on to the next slide here. So day one is our big showcase. showcase. So on day one, each of the participants will be presenting on stage to attendees. So you'll be given about 5 minutes. So there's going to be 10 companies chosen. You'll be given about 5 minutes to showcase your tech on stage. And again, this is really your time to demonstrate how your technology can reduce heat stress. And this again is another way to get in front of attendees. You're going to have future opportunities to get in front of them so they can use your technology, and then they will be voting on day 2, which we will get into. But again, day 1 is a big showcase where you're going to be going actually on stage, have a presentation for about 5 minutes, answer some questions. And following that showcase, we will be having a reception. So you can go on to the next slide here, Jonathan. So we were going to be hosting a reception in the Safety Technology Pavilion. So the Safety Technology Pavilion is the area that your booths are located. So it's our little mini expo that we have every year. So it's going to be about 10 of you in this expo. So again, this is your time to have deeper conversations with attendees, and you can have them demo your technology and have them vote later on for the Safety Innovation Challenge winner. So the future of EHS really brings a curated audience of EHS professionals, researchers, technology vendors, and business leaders across a wide array of industries from manufacturing to healthcare. Most attendees are decision makers actively exploring leading approaches to eliminating death and injury in the workplace. So they are early adopters, eager to innovate and walk away with your solution. So again, this is a great time to have deep, intimate conversations with attendees because it is a smaller, more curated audience. This is a great time to interact with them and again, get them to vote for your technology. So on day 2, so we can go to that next slide here. On day 2 in the pavilion, you are going to have about 75 minutes of, you could say, open pavilion hours. So again, the pavilion is an immersive, interactive, and educational experience for attendees. So we are given 75 minutes to interact with attendees, try out your technology, but also this is the time to vote. So again, before voting happens, we do ask that you create some sort of experience, you could say, or activity for attendees. So in the past at our other conferences and at Future of EHS, you can see in this picture here, they had a really cool VR headset. They did some type of disaster activity, but people have done cup stacking games with their wearables, same with lifting boxes. Someone rented out a whack-a-mole game for her last conference. So it could be as simple as that, just creating some sort of activity to showcase how your technology mitigates heat stress. And again, on that same day, during those 75 minutes is when the voting is going to happen. So we had the showcase, we had a reception, and now we have the voting. So this is really the time to finish up talking with those attendees and get them to vote. They're going to be given paper ballots at the beginning of those 75 minutes. They're going to be able to walk around your booths and be able to vote on one Safety Innovation Challenge winner. So later that day on day 2 is going to be our closing remarks, and that is when the Safety Innovation Challenge winner will be announced. All right, we can go to that next slide here. So I want to say thank you again for coming today and asking questions. If you have any more questions regarding this, again, put them in the chat. You can reach out to Jonathan with TechConnect, or you can reach out to us personally at innovation@nse.org, just with any questions. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Jonathan.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Riley, very much for that. Kate, go ahead and come back on camera. We're going to turn now to questions from the audience. Go ahead and continue submitting your questions. We've got a number of them already. We will take the rest of our time to answer questions. Like I said, you've got the experts here. Avail yourself of the opportunity. If you've got a question, whether it's a process question, whether it's a scope question, you've got the people here. Take advantage of the opportunity. Asking the questions. Okay. First question we're going to talk about. What is the minimum technical readiness level of this mission? As we covered at the beginning, there really isn't a minimum TRL for this particular challenge. As I said, those technologies that are closer towards commercial readiness are of greatest interest because they can be deployed in the field soonest. But if you've got a promising technology that's earlier stage, that is still within scope. That is still something that the NSC would love to hear about. So if you've got an in-scope technology, pretty much regardless of where that readiness is, we would still like to hear from you. Kate, Riley, anything you want to add to that? Okay. Next. Okay, I've got a question for, I think for Kate here. Our technology is designed for roadway workers in a mobile work zone. And a little bit additional information, they said it gets workers off of the roadway and keeps them in an air-conditioned vehicle cab. Would that fall within the scope of the heat stress challenge?
Yeah, I think so. As if you look through the challenge page and look through the scope, it really we tried to have it broad. We're looking at technologies that address heat stress coming from a number of different directions. So it sounds like what you're describing is some kind of tech that is going to alert the worker to when maybe they need to go into a cooling space or it puts them in there. I think you just have to be able to tell that story. How is your tech addressing heat stress? But if it is addressing heat stress, then that certainly would be eligible. I will emphasize, we are looking for a range of technologies and different approaches to this. We don't want to just have all the same types of things. So certainly out of the box creative thinking is encouraged. And I think my advice to you would just be when you're filling out that application, look at those questions and those pieces and be able to make the case as to how you're addressing heat stress. If you can't answer that question, then I think we'd probably be in a little bit of trouble. But
Okay. That particular question was also asked during registration, and they provided a little bit additional information. Essentially, they have a robotic technology that keeps workers from having to be outside the vehicle cab, outside of an air-conditioned space, and then exposed to heat stress.
love that. Yeah. So that's what we
So
would
would that
consider
work?
elimination. Yes. So
Okay.
that's eliminating the actual hazard of heat if you're taking somebody out of that hot situation. So absolutely, that would be within scope.
Okay, great. The next question we got is actually one for me, asking about TechConnect, who we are and what we do. Uh, Great question. TechConnect, in a really tight nutshell, is a technology matchmaker. That is what we do. We work with our clients, like NSC, to help them find individuals and organizations that have the technology or expertise that they are looking for to address some sort of technologically focused issue that they see. It could be something that they want to address. It could be something that they need to address within their current operations. That is what we do. That is our function here. We are here to help administer the challenge on behalf of NSC. All right. The next question: What are some of the positive potential outcomes of this challenge? Partnership, funding, both?
Yeah, so being a part of the challenge this year, if you are the winner, you do get a year subscription to the Tech Hub Marketplace that I talked about earlier. And then if you are a part of the challenge, you do get to be a part of the Work to Zero grant program. And Kate can also talk a little bit more about the grants.
Yeah, I was gonna say so what we do at Work to Zero is there's a few things. So Riley talked about that Tech Hub Marketplace, and that's an opportunity to get in front of our audience and be able to kind of showcase your tech, have people come and find you based on what they're looking for. We also have a very heavy research focus, which is where I tend to come in. And a lot of times what we do at Work to Zero is we help companies and employers pilot technologies or implement technologies. We have grant funding available for people who are trying to test out technology. If we see technologies that are in potentially earlier stage of development, we have opportunities to provide some grant funding to pilot in the field. So kind of getting you from the lab to the field. So there's a few different routes. This Future of EHS event, where we host the challenge and kind of do the pitch, is a really great opportunity to bring all those different stakeholders that we have into one place. And so they can look at these different technologies, and then based on what their needs are, whether it's to buy, invest, or pilot, that's kind of who we bring to this event. And so there's a few different opportunities for participating.
Uh, don't go anywhere, Kate. The next one is for you again. Does this challenge include emergency work situations like arc flash, explosion, or fires? I'm going to guess the answer is probably not, because that would be kind of a different category of situation.
It is. That's a little bit different than what we've been focusing on. Maybe we could follow up later, or what I would say now is just think about how you're making your case, because what is within scope and eligible is any kind of response to a heat stress or a heat injury, illness. In which case, if you think you can make the case for how that would fit in there, then that would work. But in general, my first reaction is it's a different type of hazard.
Okay. This one might be more of a question for you, Riley, asking who are the attendees that will be voting?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, so it's any of the attendees that will be at the Future of EHS event. But basically, like I said, it's EHS professionals, researchers, other technology vendors, providers, and business leaders. So they really come from a wide array of industries. So it's pretty much anyone and everyone. And again, it's every attendee is able to vote.
And sticking with you, Riley, what are the exact dates for the Future of EHS conference? Do you have those?
That was a good question. I believe it's February 17th. So I can get you those dates. Should have memorized. I think it's the 17th and 18th and 19th. So we do have it's 3 days, 3 full days of stuff. Yeah, February 18th through the 20th. So there's like a
Okay.
pre-conference workshop, and then you'll have like the 3 days.
Okay, great. Thank you. You talked a little bit more about this, or talked a little bit about this, but got a question asking, what happens if your company wins the challenge? So kind of broadly speaking, what does the interaction between NSC, the winner, and maybe NSC member companies look like, just in a general way?
I think how to word this. um, like I said, you get to be a part of the grant program. You get to be a part of other just NSC opportunities. Companies in the past that have won safety innovation challenges, again, they're a part of the grant program, the Tech Hub Marketplace, and then again, they tend to stick around and be able to just be a part of other opportunities with the NSC. I don't know if Kate, if you can add to that.
I was actually going to say, I think maybe what they're after is, can you share some of the information about the Tech Hub and what kind of traffic and visits we get to that page and who's looking at that page? Because I think the challenge winner, the voting winner with that year free on the marketplace, like that'll come into play. And then there's also opportunities with the advisory council, right, with the marketplace.
Yeah, so with the Tech Hub Marketplace, so we've launched last October at our NSC Congress and Expo event. So it's been about a year. So we have about 34 vendors that are on the marketplace right now, and our priority members there, I won't get into the details of it, but there's different tiered partners as of right now. So we have a basic partner and a priority partner, but our priority partners, they get a lot of traction. So we do give them Google ads, and they do get an ad campaign. So they get about 80,000 plus impressions per ad. They can get direct leads to their site. I think we've had over 1 million impressions plus since the marketplace has been open. So again, you just get a ton of traction to your page, to your website. You do get opportunities of being part of a quarterly webinar series. So we just get to pick cool topics that people are talking about that they're interested in regarding to technology. They can be a part of that webinar series as many times as they'd like. We have an insights page where they can post their own resources, PDFs, their own webinars that they've wanted to host. So there's just, again, a lot of traction, a lot of opportunity for you to share your expertise on this site and be able to talk with NSC members and just be more a part of our programs, which is really exciting.
Kind of a follow-up. It's actually part of a second question. Are there opportunities for companies to be acquired through these kinds of networking opportunities that you guys are enabling through the Future of EHS conference? Is that something that you guys are able to speak to, or
I don't
no?
know that we can speak to that because I don't know, who's planning on coming and what their intentions are, and so yeah, I'm not sure we could speak to that. It,
Okay.
we could certainly look into that and think about how we're promoting it, but
Okay. Uh, we've got a question here, and for the individual who submitted it, I'm afraid I don't quite understand the question. Uh, what is meant by how would your company support an NSC member using your technology? Please elaborate a little bit more on the focus of your question, and we'll try to get to it in just a little bit. With that, I'm going to move on to the next one. The finalists awarded space in the technology pavilion. Do they have to pay to attend?
So we do, yes, there is a payment. It's more of like an exhibitor package. So I don't have the exact price as of right now, but typically that includes 2 registrations, the booth. So you do not have to bring any material other than your technology and maybe the activity that you create. So we are going to create the backdrop, the booth itself, like the counters we use, the table, the chairs, Wi-Fi, marketing, all of that is included within that exhibitor package.
Great, thank you, Riley. Got a question here from Stephen. How is the Innovation Challenge funded for those submitting a technology response? If I understand your question correctly, Stephen, if you're asking if you have to pay in order to submit a response, no, you do not. That all of that is handled between TechConnect and NSC. So you are free to submit a technology that is at no cost to you. And again, if you've got more than one, obviously, then that is still free for you. Question about whether or not international responses are welcome. Yes, they are. So short and simple. Okay. We are pioneering a non-contact sensor that can detect changes in total human body fluid. We thought the tech could be applied to situations with rapid dehydration risk like firefighters. Where can we learn more about Work to Zero grants to support that kind of technology?
we can certainly share our website. I actually think it's available through the challenge page too. There's links to the Work to Zero site. We don't have an open grant cycle open at this moment. So actually, I guess the kind of caveat there is if you go to the site, the grant page is not open. We announce those, in the spring, I think is the kind of timeline we're on. But certainly check with our website. There's contact information on that too if you want to reach out, and we can put you on our contact list to send those kinds of updates. We can do that too.
And I would guess, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but based on the description that the submitter provided, that would fall within the scope of this challenge. And
Yeah.
if they were to submit a response, that puts the radar, so to speak, of the Work to Zero team, so that perhaps in the future a conversation could be had about that.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that was described absolutely would fall within scope.
Okay, great. Another scope question. Are software as a service companies who would create a bespoke training experience for the challenge, something that the company would not otherwise create, would they be in scope for this particular challenge?
One of the things we listed on the scope page does have to do with training, and we certainly see technology that addresses a wide variety of hazards. And if it can be used to enhance training, that certainly falls within scope too. So again, just as you're applying, make that case and draw those connections. But certainly training is a very important piece, and we know we have data that suggests that shows technology can really help that. So yeah, that would count.
Okay. We've got a question about the location for the Future of EHS conference. Where will it be? I think I mentioned that it's in St. Louis. I may not have, but within the confines of St. Louis, where is it located?
I don't know. Do you know, Riley, where the exact event is at?
It's at the Hyatt Regency at the Arc, St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay. All right. Next question goes to scope of possible funding. If you're able to provide any ballpark estimate. I'm going to guess at this point you're not, simply because you don't know what's going to be proposed, what maturity level it's going to be, all that sort of good stuff, and that the potential for funding and how much it would be kind of dependent on all of that. Yeah?
Sorry,
Okay.
having trouble unmuting. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I can't speak to that yet. We won't have all those details just yet.
Okay. Uh, Within that, however, in general, are there any kinds of restrictions that are placed on the use of any grant funding?
I'm not sure I'm following that question. So if someone was eligible for a grant after participating in the challenge, would there be restrictions on how they could use it?
I believe that that is the intent. Yes, for the individual who submitted that question. If we are misunderstanding your reasoning, please let us know and submit a separate question.
There likely would be, I guess, some restrictions, honestly, until we have plans in place for that and announce that grant cycle. I don't have the details for the grants yet. That's definitely kind of a next step after the challenge.
Okay. Evan is asking, when will the finalists be announced? That is going to be in mid-November. All right. Okay. Joe's got a couple of questions. How many rounds is the competition? How many will make it through each round? And if a competitor submits more than one product, if they can both make it to the next round. There really is one round. You will submit your response. Panelists from the NSC will review it and decide whether or not you have been invited to, I suppose technically it is 2 rounds. You'll be invited to the Future of EHS conference, and then you will be scored there, and a winner will be announced. So there really is kind of that 2 rounds there. Kate, Riley, if somebody submits more than once, do you foresee any problem with them having 2 slots, so to speak?
Riley, I'll leave that to you for like the logistics of the pavilion.
Yeah, I think the only time we've had someone submit 2 technologies was this last conference at Congress, but we did just choose one just because we did want to have a variety of different companies and vendors. I'm not saying it's not a possibility, but if they want to submit and let's say we really liked it, maybe we will. So I won't say yes or no to that. So I'd say submit it just in case.
And
But
if,
we have not
if
done that
nothing
in the
else, if you have 2 relevant in-scope technologies and you submit some really impressive responses, even if you can only get one technology through to the Future of EHS conference, you've still got a couple of other options for people to consider as well, and that's a positive thing
right.
too.
Right, and they can always, again, if we really love their technology, definitely again submit for the next year, join the marketplace, get involved with NSC, and I think that's a great benefit for sure.
So for the individual who submitted, I think the short answer is it doesn't do you any harm to submit more than once. All right. Okay, good. We've got some additional information asking about the response form. The question, how would your company support an NSC member using your technology? The intention of that particular question is prompting you to talk about how your particular technology would integrate with a future NSC, an NSC member in some future date. Talk about how you would work with an NSC member. That's really what we're looking for, is wanting you to kind of look to the future for how your technology could potentially integrate with an NSC member. All Right. Folks, we have actually basically gone through just about all of the questions. There is a question about past grants. Are you guys able to point to any past grants that somebody might be able to look at, or is that kind of confidential information to all of you?
And it's also a new enough program that there's not a lot to share. We have some other programs who have done this Safety Innovation Challenge and then these grant cycles. And Riley, you know more about that than I do. I don't know if they have those available on the website, but this is somewhat of a new opportunity for us specifically.
Yeah, I
Is
could
the
ask.
NSC
So
Lab sharing that?
I think I'm not 100% sure. I can get some more information if maybe that person is interested. You could again email us at innovation@nsc.org and I could put you in contact with the right person and get you more information about that.
All right, folks, we've still got time on the calendar today. I don't want to keep you longer than is necessary, but I do want to reiterate, you've got the NSC experts here. So if you've got questions about the challenge, now would be an excellent opportunity for you to get some additional information from Riley and Kate. And speak of the devil, we have a new question. How many competitors will make it to the finals? Riley, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you said that there will be 10, yes?
Yes, we'll choose 10 companies and then we will have just one winner.
Okay. I'll give you all of just another couple minutes here to submit your questions. However, Riley has shared contact information for asking questions after the webinar. Please feel free to reach out and ask questions if you've got the challenge, or excuse me, got questions about the challenge. I think Riley and Kate would agree. We want the problem of having too many people who are interested in the challenge and submitting technologies. That really is the goal here, is to find as many different good, promising, effective technologies that can deal with heat stress. Recording of the webinar. Yes, the webinar is being recorded. It will be posted onto the challenge page. So if you wanted to watch this after the fact, you can certainly do that. Here's a good question. Does the National Safety Council, do you guys engage with the DoD at all?
I'm not sure how to answer that, like in terms of this challenge, or is it somebody from DoD interested in submitting?
That particular question, I really don't have any additional information on whether or not it's, somebody from the DoD who's looking to work with NSC, or asking if the DoD, excuse me, asking if NSC connects into DoD in some way. So for the individual who put that question in, if you could elaborate a little bit more, we could certainly try to tackle that. In the meantime, we have a question asking about who are some of the members about in NSC.
Member companies for NSC are a range of employers across the United States, small, medium, large businesses, people that are part of the National Safety Council in order to access great training resources, safety program information, safety policies, all these different things they can provide. We also have part of the council is dedicated to roadway safety. So we do a lot of work, not just in the workplace, but also on the roadway, well-being. The programs that Riley and I are from are in kind of the research arm of the council. So really it's a very broad organization. We kind of come at safety from a lot of different ways. So some people are very familiar with our research. A lot of people are most familiar with our training that's provided. And so the companies are all sorts from across industries and, like I said, across sizes that participate, either from a range. So if it's a smaller business that's looking for resources, if it's a larger business that's looking to share best practices, we've got quite a range of people that we work with.
Great. had a question asking about the contact information. The email that you want is innovation@nsc.org. Innovation@nsc.org. Oh, and we've got a follow-up on the DoD question. Would DoD applications fall within the scope of this? For example, monitoring heat stress in soldiers.
Okay, I'm understanding that question a little bit better now. So if it's something that can only be used within soldiers, um, I mean that I guess that narrows the opportunity for our members who would be able to use it. But if the technology could be used in other places, or again, it still falls within the scope of the challenge. Um, I know a lot of the technology we've seen in terms of heat stress and maybe even with other hazards, a lot of it starts with military uses. So certainly sounds like it would still be within scope. If you're asking specifically, like, are we expecting DoD at this event, and if they're looking for technology, that I wouldn't be able to speak to. I'm not sure.
Okay, so if there are companies that are interested in responding to this particular challenge and their technology has been developed or is being developed for specific military use, but they also foresee a civilian adaptation, A, that would be in scope, and B, they could point to their relationship in whatever form it is with the DoD as evidence of the suitability and effectiveness of their technology. Yeah?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. We have gotten into another little bit of lull. We've got about 13 minutes left on our time. If we've got questions, we will certainly take them. Uh, like I said, we've got a little bit of a lull, so I will just reiterate. If you are interested in participating in the challenge, if you are interested in going to the Future of EHS conference next February, and we hope that you are interested in both of those, submit your response by November 1st, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a Friday, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure that you get your submission in. Don't wait till the last second. Take a look at the response form, see what kind of information is being requested of you, and start working on your response. And okay. Kurt is asking about the question, how would your company support? The question really there is, again, asking you to talk about how you would potentially engage with an NSC member and how your technology would support a theoretical NSC member address heat stress in the workplace. So that could take the form of, if your technology is for a particular industry, you could talk about how your technology fits within that industry. If your technology is addressing heat stress writ large, you can talk about how your technology would impact heat stress on a broad population. It really is, how are you going to engage with an NSC member? All right. Folks, we have, oh, you all are
Can I
reading from the
add
last
real
second here.
quick
Yes,
to that,
please go
Jonathan?
ahead.
I'm just thinking another way you could think about that question, and Riley, correct me if I'm wrong, but based on some of the things we've seen in past challenges, we've had some solution providers who, as part of what they offer, is there specific training that they've developed that goes along with their technology? Like, that would be a way that you're supporting a member company. So if someone's interested in technology, is it, we have the tech, we also have this training, or maybe we have support services for X amount of time, or so think about that. I think we've just seen different things that come in. Kind of, what do you want us to know about how you're engaging with people, your end users, kind of thing.
And yeah, we had a follow-up question saying that it's not referring to technical support. And actually, to your point, Kate, I think it could include technical support. It really
Mm-hmm.
is an open-ended question of,
Yes,
How would you support? Is it just through the technology? Is it through training? How impactful is that support going to be? All of that good stuff that tells the review panelists what your technology can do and what kind of impact it can have on heat stress in the workplace.
exactly. So not to say that any of that's required. That's usually where people are like, we also want you to know this. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's a great way to talk about it, Jonathan. Thank you.
And to piggyback off of that, the the analogy that I typically give for people responding to an innovation project, you're at a dinner party and the NSC has just walked up to you and said, "What do you do?" Well, you're going to give them the really good, engaging information that they're going to say, "Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more." And as paradoxical as it may seem, the goal of your response is not to get NSC to say, "Here's a contract. We would like to give you $80 million." That is not the goal of your response. The goal of your response is to get NSC to read your response and say, "We need to learn more. We need the sequel to this. This is really cool tech. We think it's really impactful. We want to learn more." That's the goal of your response. So everything you put into your response, whether it's technical information, whether it's business information, whether it's the impact that your technology can have, whether it's how your technology is better than the alternatives that are out there, everything in your response has to be in support of that goal of getting NSC to be so wowed by your technology, by your narrative about your technology, that they have to learn more about it. That's your goal. And if it's not supporting that, take it out and put something else in. Okay? All right, folks, we've got 8 minutes left in our time. We've got another lull in the questions here. Uh, if nothing comes up in the next little bit here, I'm going to go ahead and wrap everything up. I will reiterate once again, if you've got questions about the challenge, innovation@nsc.org to reach out for questions. Please feel free to do that. We are here to answer your questions because, again, we want as many different technologies addressing as many different aspects of heat stress and how to respond and prevent and detect heat stress as possible. So if you've got something that is in scope, we want to hear from you. We absolutely want the problem of having too many submissions to read, because that is what we're here for, is to learn about all of those different ways that heat stress can be addressed. And with that, one final reminder, November 1st, it's a Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time here in the US. Make sure you get your submission in by that time, because after that, we won't be able to accept your submission. So get it in early, okay? Don't wait for the last second, because we've all been there and stuff happens and your computer dies and you can't submit. That would be terrible. We want you to get your technology in, okay? So with that in mind, oh, Jim, all right, under the wire here. Jim is asking, do you have any papers documenting statistics on heat stress incidents by application areas? Is that something that's available on NSC pages?
So NSC has injury facts. If you just Google NSC injury facts, I mean, that is a lot of statistics. You can get some specific things on there. If you look at the Work to Zero page there, there's some resources there. We don't have anything. This is beyond that, we don't have anything dedicated like that. This is the focus of our upcoming year and where a lot of our research is going, but we're still building all that. But I would say certainly start with injury facts. You can also look at like Bureau of Labor Statistics if you're looking for kind of specific numbers related to heat.
Okay. All right, folks, thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate you joining us. To Kate and Riley from National Safety Council, thank you both for taking some time to talk to our attendees. Appreciate it. Once again, November 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Get your submission in. Other than that, thank you all once again. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.